Next topic, Colin Moriarty. You're closing out the show. Running the anchor leg. We call you the closer. The glasses have gone down, which means
they should play Enter Sandman when I because they did it for Mariano Rivera.
See, and it's funny you go there because there was a wrestler in ECW who was named Sandman, and he would enter through the crowd drinking beer and pouring beer into the mouths of people in the crowd. It was awesome, and he entered Sandman.
Didn't Stone Cold do that? Didn't Stone Cold always
he drank
slam a beer when he got into the ring?
After matches, he would drink, yes.
Okay.
But Sandman did it on his way to the matches and then fed them to underage people in the crowd.
One day, I'm just going to let you talk at me about wrestling for like an hour. Whatever you want to talk about. You have my full attention for 1 hour.
All right, sounds like
you should have watched WrestleMania with us on Sunday. I don't know what the fuck was going on for 4 hours, but it was very.
You had a great time.
I would have totally done that. Thanks for the invite.
I think I did invite you, and you're all like, "Oh, sorry, you gotta go do stuff on the way."
I did nothing that day. I hate Taco Bell.
So I'm gonna talk about something that's timely, and so if you can just give me a minute or two to catch you up on what's happened here, and we can talk about it. I want to talk about Brendan Eich, who is the Mozilla ex-CEO and co-founder.
Oh, that's a good one.
So here's the story, in case, for all of our listeners that don't know what happened. Mozilla co-founder CEO Brendan Eich, who came under fire this week for donating to a campaign to ban gay marriage in California, has resigned. Eich, who became the CEO of the nonprofit company behind Mozilla Firefox on March 24th, had donated $1,000 for the successful Proposition 8 ballot measure that passed in the November 2008 state election. Last year, California's ban on gay marriage was overturned when the Supreme Court left into place a lower court's ruling against the measure. Quote, "I've decided to resign as CEO effective today and leave Mozilla," he said in a statement. "Our mission is bigger than any one of us, and under this present circumstances, I cannot be an effective leader. I will be taking time before I decide what to do next." Eich was previously chief technology officer of the company, but had been involved in Mozilla's development starting from its conception in 1998, the previous CEO, blah, blah, blah. Now, here's the interesting thing. A statement from all right, so after the announcement that Eich would become CEO last week, some Mozilla staff protested his appointment while 3 of Mozilla's directors resigned. OkCupid protested by refusing to allow users to run the dating website with the Firefox browser. A statement from an OkCupid spokesman said that the dating site firm is, quote, "pleased that OkCupid's boycott has brought tremendous awareness to the critical matter of equal rights for all individuals and partnerships. Today's decision reaffirms Mozilla's commitment to that cause." So he resigns because he donated to Prop 8. Prop 8 was a big deal in California, in case you don't live here, and you probably don't if you're listening to this. That would ban gay marriage. Tennessee. It passed 52 to 48. Pretty safe to assume. I voted against it. I'm sure everyone at this table did.
I guarantee Tim didn't vote.
I did.
Fuck.
Yeah.
So this was like a big deal, and this banned gay marriage, but it was overturned. And this got me to thinking earlier this week and this weekend about, and I tweeted a little bit about it very controversially with some people saying that I felt like this was wrong. That even though I'm a supporter of gay marriage, I'm also a supporter in freedom of thought and expression. Sure. And that you can't be forced out of a position like that because of how you vote. Like, it just seemed weird. It seemed like so weird to me, He's obviously wrong in my opinion, but this is also the man that, invented JavaScript. Probably one of the greatest technological inventions in the history of computers. So not a stupid man, not an inconsequential person. Mozilla also,
Well, see, that's where I feel like that's where it comes down to. Take out the morality, take out the ethic of it. I feel like someone who runs a company, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they're based in San Francisco. They're in Embarcadero, aren't they?
Yeah.
They took over the old Gordon Biersch.
Gordon Biersch, that's right.
I miss those garlic
fries. For someone who runs a company in the heart of San Francisco and decides to come out and not only, come out against gay marriage, but also support the opposite side via his funds, I feel like that's not. I don't know that I could trust that person to make smart business decisions just based on knowing that that's probably going to be a very polarizing thing for him to do. Like, I realize he's run, I don't know how long he's run the company for, but the company is fantastic. Makes great products, but at one point, wouldn't you be like, dude, that's just not a good thing, like a good decision.
But now you're getting into the fact of like having to hide who you are and what you believe in. Like,
yeah, but I feel like with business, you got to do that sometimes.
Yeah, it's business,
right? But he didn't broadcast this.
Tim,
no one knew about
people that.
No one knew. You can very easily see who donated to who. You can find that I donated money to Mitt Romney. You can find that I donated to Ron Paul. It's like not hard to do.
I'm gonna have to ask you to step down from this podcast.
And the thing to me is that he's like, it created a litmus test, right, for politics, right? And there's irony to this because OkCupid was one of the companies that led the charge to like get this guy removed, right?
Right.
That's pretty ironic, don't you think? Do you want to know why?
Why?
Because it came out today that, I'll read you the story. and then you can tell me, okay? Last week, the online dating site OkCupid switched up its homepage for Mozilla Firefox users. This is from Mother Jones, by the way, which is a super liberal.
Mother Jones?
It's like super liberal blog. Upon opening the site, and the other one was from ABC News, by the way. I should cite these sources. Upon opening the site, a message appeared encouraging members to curb their use of Firefox because the company's new CEO, Brendan Eich, allegedly opposes equality for gay couples. Specifically, he donated blah, blah. The quote on the site was, "We've devoted the last 10 years to bringing all people together. If individuals like Mr. Ike had their way, then roughly 8% of the relationships we've worked so hard to bring about would be illegal," etc. and so on. But there's a hitch. OkCupid's co-founder and CEO Sam Yegan once donated to an anti-gay candidate.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yegan is also CEO of Match.com. Specifically, Yegan donated $500 to Representative Chris Cannon, Republican of Utah, in 2004. During this time as congressman, from 1997 to 2009, Cannon voted for a constitutional amendment banning same-sex marriage, against a ban on sexual orientation-based job discrimination, and for the prohibition of gay adoptions. He also voted for numerous anti-choice measures, earning a 0% rating from NARAL Pro-Choice America. Among other measures, Cannon voted for laws prohibiting government from denying funds to medical facilities that withhold abortion information, stopping minors from crossing state lines to obtain an abortion, and banning family planning funding in U.S. and abroad. Cannon also earned a 7% rating from the ACLU for his poor civil rights voting record.
How do we know that he
Huh.
voted? How do we
Isn't
know
that
he voted?
interesting?
How do we know what he voted for? Isn't that a secret?
Not in Congress. We
Oh.
don't have all the congressmen vote. That'd
Wait,
be pretty
so-
This
dangerous if we
guy,
didn't know
the
everything.
guy, the CEO here funded a guy who voted. When you vote, it's public what you vote.
So,
when
so
you're
that's
voting.
interesting.
Oh, got it.
So that's pretty interesting then. So it's, Ike from Mozilla
Yeah,
donates $1,000 to Prop 8
right.
How does he donate to Prop 8?
because you donate to the PACs. Well, it wasn't PACs back then, but the organizations that are supporting it. This was heavily supported, by the way. By
But
the
see,
Mormon
that's
Church
different
and
to me than supporting a candidate that just happens to have, like you were saying earlier. You were like, you come down more on the side of libertarian, right? Where no politician's perfect. No one actually believes 100% in what you believe. So sometimes you just have to it's give and take. Where you're like, that guy support that guy.
Cut the fucking chase and nail Colin. Don't let him off the hook.
Well, I'm
What
saying
are you
is,
fucking? What's the McLaughlin
if
group?
I donate $500 to a campaign, and
Right.
I don't have to necessarily 100%. In fact, I'm not going to 100% believe in what that candidate believes in. It's just not possible.
Yeah.
No, but
God damn it! He was gonna say that you donated to Mitt Romney and you don't agree with all of Mitt Romney's policies.
Yeah, no,
concerning gays.
I was going to
especially.
say that.
Yeah, so
But you
I
didn't.
mean-
You backed down like the shit you are. What fucking goddamn people have
no,
you been saluting?
but you guys are missing the point. That no one can be held to a litmus test like that.
Yeah.
Because it took one fucking week for them to dig up something on OkCupid's CEO. The guy who spearheaded basically the resigning of another CEO from another tech company for donating money against gay marriage.
I think
It's
that's
not
inflammatory. I think that's just trumping up some stuff.
that's not
Sure.
inflammatory. He donated money to a Republican.
What else did that guy do? Like, what else did that Republican
He
do?
He voted specifically. He gave a statement. And I'll read it to you.
Wait, hold on, time out.
So Sam Yegan, the CEO, gave a statement. A decade ago, I made a contribution to Representative Chris Cannon because he was the ranking Republican on the House subcommittee that oversaw the internet and intellectual property.
So it had nothing to do with
Exactly.
his views on gay rights.
Yeah, no,
So that's totally different.
That's
then.
completely
no, it's
different.
not. No, it's not different. It's not different.
And now, mind you, I'm with.
point I'm
By
trying
the way,
to
I'm with you. I do not think that he should have been forced out of office.
Colin, this guy's fucking owning your ass right now. Don't listen to him say he's with you.
I know,
He's not
because
trying to
I
fuck
heard
with
the
you.
story, and at first I was my first gut reaction, my passionate reaction was, how dare this guy do that? And then I thought about it for 5 seconds, and I'm like, well, it's his right. It's because he's an American, because it's his right, because this is our system. He should be able to do that, and he shouldn't be persecuted.
I think you guys are missing the point. I'm not saying that like donating to Prop 8 and donating to this congressman are the same thing, because they're not. Right? The money's different, the time's different, all that stuff is different. The point. Let me put my computer down.
It's about the real.
The point I'm trying to make is that no one can be held to a specific purity test that everyone can pass or fail. Because much like people dug up shit on that OkCupid guy, that frankly does make him look like a hypocrite.
See, that's the thing I don't agree with. I think that's just. I agree with you that it's wrong. Like, he should not be, as a business guy, held to these standards. But at the same time, like, I don't think that this shows that they're hypocritical, and it's ironic. It's just because of what Nick's saying.
Okay, well,
I don't-
Colin's not even driving at this point.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is like, yeah, I'm a little confused like where you guys are confused about this. The litmus test that people tried to hold this guy to is a litmus test that no one can be held to. Because
Sure.
we all vote
That I will agree
for
with.
things that we don't necessarily believe in to get the things that we want. This guy gave the guy money, the guy with a 7% ACLU rating, a 0% pro-choice rating, who voted for a constitutional ban on gay marriage, not in a state, but federally. Mm-hmm. He voted for that guy because it was in his interest to vote for him, right?
Sure.
And I don't want to be held to a standard to say, like I said on Twitter last week, that, okay, I voted for Mitt Romney and I gave Mitt Romney money. Mitt Romney's against gay marriage. I'm not against gay marriage.
Tim, watch your breathing.
But if you can read into these issues in such a way that you can hold people to these like strict purity tests, then not even the person who spearheaded it can be held to that purity test. Because that purity test says that any association to gay marriage, the gay marriage issue in terms of being against gay marriage, is wrong. Well, his money went to a congressman that was against gay marriage. And that isn't inconsequential.
No, yeah, and I'll agree with you on that. I think it's like it's a ridiculous association. It's a couple more degrees away from why this other guy's why the Mozilla CEO is being persecuted. But at the same time, let's get back to the issue at hand. I think it sucks that he had no other option than to step down, because he had none. The second that news broke, it was it. He would have to step down. Your employees are never going to look at you the same, especially being in the heart of San Francisco. You're done.
Who the fuck uses Mozilla anymore anyways?
I still use Mozilla a lot.
Really?
Yeah, I can't get
I
into
use
Chrome.
Firefox.
Over Chrome.
I can't get into Chrome.
What? Yeah, I use Chrome on my Mac and Firefox on my PC.
It's because Colin's terrified of Google. You know that.
Oh, well.
But to me, this was like really disheartening because it says a lot about where we're going. And this is really what I wanted to get to. It's not even so much the gay marriage issue as much as the political purity issue. People in the tech industry are, like a lot of the liberals in Northern California, in the Valley, in San Francisco, practice something very different than they preach. They preach tolerance, but they don't actually practice tolerance, because tolerance is understanding that other people have different points of view, and that doesn't make them bad people, And one of the things I tweeted was, it doesn't make you a bigot because you're against gay marriage. It's possible that you're a bigot, because you voted against gay marriage. It's also possible.
It's a pretty strong possibility.
No, I don't think it's. I don't.
It's like a
no, I
90%
disagree. I totally disagree. I think that's totally ignorant.
Well, how so?
Because deeply devoutly religious people don't, if they ascribe to the scripture, don't believe in gay marriage, and that doesn't make them a bigot. It makes them religious. And I know people that are against gay marriage, and I know how these specific people treat gay people, and they treat them just like they treat you and me.
So if they all had gay sons, they'd be totally okay with that.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they're in that situation. And I've called out that hypocrisy before in previous conversations, especially concerning Dick Cheney and his daughter, and how he like bucked the trend when he found out his daughter was gay. Like that to me was fucked up, because
but up until that point, he
was
exactly completely different.
So my major concern is the litmus test, being kind of thrust on people, can't be passed by anyone. That like, we all voted for someone that feels a way we didn't feel, or our money was all funneled in a different way. It's like when you go to Chick-fil-A and your money goes to Dan Cathy and he spends it on, to prohibit gay marriage, whatever. Like, you can follow that line any direction you want. You know what I mean? And like, find something fucked up about a person if you hold them to this strict purity test. Hey, newsflash for everyone that voted for Barack Obama in 2008. He was against gay marriage until 2012. Does that mean you're against gay marriage because you voted for him? Or were you voting for him because you believed in other things? With Barack Obama,
I still think your logic's a little flawed here, because it's not like, you're still equating it to candidates, whereas this guy's not supporting a candidate. He's literally supporting a movement, and that is different. And I think people have the right to judge someone based on that decision that he made.
So they have the right, because he was against gay marriage, to judge him as the CEO of a private corporation.
No, I don't necessarily think that, but I think people are going to. And knowing that you're the CEO of a company, you need to take that kind of thing into account before you start donating your millions of dollars. Well,
and here's what it needs to come back to, though.
$1,000, which, by the way, is completely ridiculous.
I think the fact is that a lot of people need to learn to stick to their guns right now, right? Like, people don't, we deal with this all the time, right? We're in our job, right? That there's a controversy of the moment, right? Oh my God, Lara Croft gets raped in the new Tomb Raider, and that's the story for that week. And it feels like that story will never pass, but then it's gone and no one remembers it. And this is the same thing, right? Chick-fil-A guy, oh man, he hates gay marriage. We're gonna do this. Nope, don't worry about it. Struggle on, and everybody's fine. Chick-fil-A's fine. They do better, the one day when it's supposed to be boycotted or whatever. This is a similar thing. I think if Mozilla guy was just like, no, I mean, like, yep, I supported that, and that's my decision, and my personal beliefs don't reflect my beliefs of the company. By the way, we are X thousands of employees, and this is how this works, and blah, blah, blah.
But see,
he said that, though.
That's where it gets hard, though.
Well, he should. I would have said weather the storm would have been me.
as an employee, where I mean, again, I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with this, but I can understand the climate over there is probably a little tense because there's probably a great number of employees who are like, you lead our company. I'm gay. I'm going to get married. Am I going to be discriminated against because the person who leads my company does not support my decisions in life? And ultimately, there is no separation between your personal life and your business life anymore. It just doesn't exist. People know everything about you all the time.
But follow that's what's logical conclusion then. Like
probably not.
Why did people
probably not?
Why did Democrats support Barack Obama so much when he was against gay marriage?
No, but we're not. But you're going into the politics of this. I'm going into the private sector of this, which is where I have a lot more business. Like if that we found out that about our CEO, it would be very polarizing, and he would probably have to step down.
Why? Why would he have to step down for that?
Because there's no coming back from that. It's like when someone gets accused of rape, where you're like, whether he's guilty or not,
that's pretty crazy to me. Like
there's no coming back. It's a very polarizing issue.
Not supporting gay marriage is equivalent to rape.
That's not what I said, and don't misinterpret.
No. You just said
the
that.
Stigma that follows that is equivalent to the magnitude of being accused of something like that. In San Francisco, California, which I will challenge anyone to disagree with me on that. There's a very, very energized city in regards to the gay rights movement.
It doesn't make it okay. It seems to me that it's discriminatory.
I completely agree with you on that. I'm just saying this guy should have taken that into consideration before he did that. And if he did not take that into consideration, he basically did himself a grave disservice.
I don't know. How could he take something like that back? He donated it to
like
in 2008.
What if it had been Steve Jobs?
What was his position in 2008?
He was against game. What was he was chief technology officer.
Okay. I don't know. I feel like there's great points on each side here. I don't think it's fair. I wish he would have stuck by his guns. I don't agree with him. I think I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a ping pong match. Every time the ball's somewhere else.
He should have stuck. He clearly feels bad about it. He clearly feels in the wrong about it.
He doesn't feel wrong about it. He refused to recant or say that he feels any differently.
But he stepped down.
Yeah, because he felt.
He could have gone.
Well, because he doesn't really need the job, and so I assume that's part of it. I'm not saying that he's right. I'm not saying the gay marriage ban was right. My actions met my words. I voted against Prop 8. I've been pretty vocal about supporting gay marriage. Mm-hmm. What I'm afraid of is having a society that has political litmus tests to be in the private sector.
That is a very scary thing.
But it happened. It just happened.
It does.
And my point is it only took a few days for someone to dig up dirt about the leading proponent CEO about where he spent his money. And I think that's totally relevant.
But here's my thing. This is similar to what I'm saying with Weather the Storm. This isn't going away. This is going to get worse. The next generation of CEOs will have Facebook profiles and Twitter and everyone's skeletons aren't, you don't get to grow up in secret anymore and do dumb stuff in college and have one photo your friend took on a wind-up camera, right, of you doing blow. It's like, nope, all that's out there in this digital, and that was a Barack Obama reference, by the way, not a Nick Scarpino does cocaine, but fund that Kickstarter. I think that's where we're moving. That's where the ball is going. You know what I mean? And these right now are the first, I guess, lightning rods, right? Where we have to see how people react and what they do. And I think you're seeing two different things with the Chick-fil-A guy and now with this guy.
I don't know. I think it's totally disturbing. I don't want people to be discriminated against in polity, which is why I support gay marriage, because I think it's inherently discriminatory. But I really urge people to not want to destroy their political opponents, which is what this has gotten to now at this point, It's not good enough that the movement's winning so very clearly. This is what a very popular. I'll read it to you. Let me look it up real quick.
Sure.
Do you guys know who Andrew Sullivan is?
No. Who is he?
Here, hold on. I'm gonna look it up. Give me a moment.
Tell Craig Barron to fuck off.
He's texting me excessively. What up, Craig Barron? Don't watch the show.
Don't what up anybody.
He doesn't watch the show.
Thanks for listening to Game Over Greggy Show, everybody. Remember the MP3 posts every Friday at GameOverGreggy.bandcamp.com for $1. And if you don't like that, you can wait for the YouTube videos to be broken out throughout the week on GameOverGreggy.com. Each topic gets its own video. The full show goes live on Friday. We don't promote it.
Yeah. And if you like hiking, there's a shirt.
Yeah, the Sean Finnegan likes hiking shirt is finally real.
Do you like hiking?
I love hiking.
Why do you like hiking, Tim?
Because
get some ladies.
Yeah, girls like hiking.
Because you remember the Sean Finnegan story.
DistrictLines.com/GameOverGreggy. We have a Sean Finnegan likes hiking shirt.
It's a very, very nice
and
shirt.
Oreo-gasm.
Actually given to us by a nice man named
Oreo-gasm,
Mike
yeah.
Noss.
If you like Oreos, you can get that.
Yeah, the Sean Finnegan shirt is designed by a fan.
Mike Noss. Mike Noss on Twitter. He's a really talented guy. He was nice enough to contribute that to the cause. So thank you, Mike. Much appreciated, man.
It's a nice shade of green.
It's Jets green. I chose it just for Colin.
Aww.
Thank you.
So what did you got for me, Colin? You checked to read us something.
Andrew Sullivan's like a very, 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 very popular internet like writer and blogger.
Okay.
He's gay.
Okay.
And he wrote a story called The Hounding of a Heretic. And here's what he said. The guy who had the gall to express his First Amendment rights in favor of Prop 8 in California by donating $1,000 has just been scalped by some gay activists. After an OkCupid decision to boycott Mozilla, the recently appointed Brendan Eich just resigned under pressure. Will he now be forced to walk through the streets in shame? Why not the stocks? The whole episode disgusts me, and it should disgust anyone interested in a tolerant and diverse society. If this is the gay rights movement today, hounding our opponents with a fanaticism more like the religious right than anyone else, then count me out. If we are about intimidating the free speech of others, we are no better than the anti-gay bullies who came before us. And I thought that was an interesting and powerful statement. Not necessarily that I agree with him 100%, but that there's even divisiveness and apprehension about what happened to this guy because it sets a weird precedent.
It really does,
and I'm not comfortable with that because what's next?
Because what if the next polarizing decision is alcohol, right? Not that it would be, but all of a sudden it comes out that Colin drinks bourbon and bourbon's the polarizing issue and you have to quit your job. I mean, that's obviously an exaggerated example, but I see where that slippery slope is. And that's the danger of politics in general, right? Is that like you put a lot of energy behind something and all that energy can be destructive to humans, much like McCarthyism, right? Where's that line drawn? How far do we go until we go, hey, you can't just point at someone and say he doesn't like gay people and have it just be inherently true. There has to be more layers to that because human beings are allowed to not agree with something, but also can still be good people. They can still make good decisions, right? Yeah. And I don't know, I've never read anything about the CEO of Mozilla, but I mean, he made a really good company that's based on some interestingly, probably good ideals, I would imagine, since they're developing it all for free, right?
Yeah, it's not for profit.
Yeah. So there's that. It's messed up though. All I know is this. From a business standpoint, I've already voiced my opinion on like what you probably should and shouldn't keep private in your life. From an ethical, should he have backed down? I don't think so. I think he should have fought that fight, if nothing more than just to kind of prove that point and push back a little bit. If that happened to me, would my life probably be ruined at this point, not being a millionaire? Yeah, it would suck. Mm-hmm. If that stigma follows you around forever, probably, and it would destroy normal people. Like if you were just a VP at a company and that came out and then made national headlines, who would hire you? So it's rough. It's a dangerous power to wield as the public. So we should really be careful about that.
Now here's something I want to bring up, Colin. This is almost a separate topic, but I found it interesting. Your tweet you talked about, right? Just because you don't agree with gay marriage doesn't make you a bigot. And your thing here was religion, right? Some people, they're not bigots, they're religious, right? But here you don't subscribe to religion. You don't believe in a God, right?
No.
So isn't that in a way just a veiled blanket statement to get around the fact that you don't agree with this? And is it them? Maybe isn't it them being ignorant?
Maybe there was a point that was being made. I thought that was really interesting. I don't know where I read it. I've been reading a lot about this, and they were saying that it's likely that a person who's not religious who voted against Prop 8 or voted for Prop 8 is a bigot, right?
Yeah.
But they made the other great point too. He was saying like, how many people told me during Prop 8, not me, but the guy was saying, how many people told me, yeah, I support their I want them to get married. They just better not hit on me. Right. Oh, I want them to get married. They just, gay sex grosses me out, but I'm for, it's the same fucking thing, like it's the same, like you're still putting a bad message forward. You're still putting a bad foot forward with the way you feel about it. You're just checking the box in a way that makes it acceptable. But the underlying causes and your own homophobia, is belied by the things you say, And, Andrew Sullivan brings up a good point in another piece because he's saying, let me concede all of the opposing arguments that have been deployed to defend the public shaming and resignation of Brendan Eich. To recap these points, this was not the gay left as such, but the techie straight left more broadly. He wasn't fired, he resigned. Mozilla is not your usual company. Being CEO is different than being just a regular employee and requires another standard. It doesn't matter because we're all marching toward victory anyway. This was a function of market forces and the First Amendment. So these are all the arguments for why this was okay. But he says, why am I convinced that what just happened still matters and matters a lot? I think it's because these arguments avoid the core ugly truth of what happened. Brendan Eich was regarded as someone whose political beliefs and activities rendered him unsuitable for his job. In California, if an employer had fired an employee for these reasons, he would be breaking the law. You know? So we let a mob of various people, force a resignation. It says there in California's law, no employer shall coerce or influence or attempt to coerce or influence his employees by means of threat or discharge or loss of employment to adopt or follow or refrain from adopting or following any particular course or line of political action or political activity.
Yeah, but there are gray lines. There are gray lines there. Like a lot of times with CEOs, you do sign a contract saying that you won't do anything to
defame a company.
And bringing national attention for a decision you made to your company in a negative way could be construed as that. In fact, a lot of lawyers would be like, this guy's got to go because he's literally selling the good name of this company.
Sure, but they can't fire him for that.
No, they can't fire him.
So what is forced? Like,
actually,
how is he
no one
forced
can
to
fire him
because
he owns the company.
He had to resign. He had a mutiny on his hands that was driven by the media. Like he
to
couldn't do
quell shit.
anything about it.
He backed down.
But he wasn't forced to. He could have not.
No, he couldn't have. But the point, yeah, that's true. And he doesn't, like I said, he's filthy rich. Like he doesn't need the
to
job.
ruin Mozilla.
But Sullivan says this, and I'll leave it here. He says the ability to work alongside or for people with whom we have a deep political disagreement is not a minor issue in a liberal society. It is a core foundation of toleration. We either develop the ability to tolerate those with whom we deeply disagree, or liberal society is basically impossible. Civil conversation becomes culture war. Arguments and reasons cede to emotion and anger. And let me reiterate, the principle of toleration has recently been attacked by many more on the far right than on the far left. I'm appalled, for example, at how many gay teachers have been fired by Catholic schools, even though it is within the right of the schools to do so. It's awful that individuals are fired for being gay with no legal recourse all over the country. But if we rightly feel this way about gays in the workplace, why do we not feel that way about our opponents? It's a totally reasonable question raised by a prominent gay man. And I reading all the stuff, I'm like, I can't believe he's really hitting the nail right on the head. And on what grounds can we celebrate the resignation of someone for his off workplace political beliefs? Payback, revenge? Some liberal principles, in my view, are worth defending whether they are assailed by left or right. I'm then informed that opposition to marriage equality is not just a political belief. It's a profound insight into whether someone is a decent moral person or a bigot. And this belief is also held with absolute certainty, the same absolute certainty of righteousness that many Christians have.
Well, let me but let me play devil's advocate on this, right? Because how do things change in our society, right? It's by a majority, right? There is a majority that steps up and they fight the good fight, and things change. And is this too far, or is this just another symptom of our country having to change? And is change ever easy, right? Has there ever been a monumental shift in the way we live as human beings in this country without a lot of casualties to that, if that makes sense, right? For instance, healthcare, right? Everyone gives Obama shit for healthcare. Will they be giving him shit for healthcare 10 years from now? Maybe not. If everyone's got it, they'll remember him a lot better for that. So I don't know. Maybe this guy's just another casualty in a war worth fighting, or maybe this is just a step too far. But ultimately, I don't know. It's hard because you do want to come down on people that make that decision when you believe so much in the opposite. And you almost want to, when you punch, you want to punch as hard as you possibly can, right? But I mean, if again, it's one of those things where like it's a fight, it's a boxing match, right? If he really believed in that and he had the courage to stick with his convictions, then he should have stayed where he was at and defended himself and been like, no, this is why I did this. We can have an open dialogue about it, and this is why I believe this way. But he said, you know what, I'm gonna do what's good for my company, and step down, and in 2 weeks we'll forget about it.
If he was fired, that would be a totally different story. But the fact that like he decided to leave, like,
so this is I don't disagree. Like, what if they fired him? It would have been illegal.
Yeah,
they didn't fire him. But this is what he says as he finishes his piece. Ike begged for mercy. He asked to be given a fair shot to prove he wasn't David Duke. He directly interacted with those he had hurt. He expressed sorrow. He had not the slightest blemish in his professional record. He had invented JavaScript. He was a hero. He pledged to do all he could to make amends, but none of this is ever enough for inquisitions, and it wasn't enough in this case. His mind and conscience were the problem. He had to change them or leave. A civil rights movement without toleration is not a civil rights movement. It is a cultural campaign to expunge and destroy its opponents. A moral movement without mercy is not moral. It is, when push comes to shove, cruel. For a decade and a half, we have fought the battle for equal dignity for gay people with sincerity, openness, toleration, and reason. It appears increasingly as if we will have to fight and fight again to prevent this precious and highly successful legacy from being hijacked by a righteous, absolutely certain, and often hateful mob. See, we are better than this. We must not give into it. That's how he finishes this.
I like a lot of what he's saying, and I feel like this idea of, so we're fighting for tolerance, and these other people are not being tolerant. Mm-hmm. That is a really good point, and it's very true. But at the same time, it's like, what if this is something that no one should be tolerant of? You know? And like now it's like there's the question of is it okay or not? But like, what if it is not okay?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
slavery not okay.
Yeah, I feel like if you put it in terms of like, you know, 50 years ago, if we were having this discussion about whether or not, you know, segregation should be ended, that would be a no-brainer, right?
But it's
of
like,
course, 50 years.
Should you be allowed to be tolerant of that?
Or am I missing my time? How long ago was that? 60s, 50s?
It was the 50s.
50s.
Well, that's when the argument was happening.
Right. So, I mean, it's one of those things where I think history will judge accordingly, where, you know, it's unfathomable that someone would contribute to something like that. If there was a bill that said, let's reintroduce segregation in our schools, would we in any way, shape, or form support anyone that came out against that? It's their right to, but it's one of those. It's a really interesting issue.
Yeah, I don't think segregation and gay marriage are the same thing, but not even close.
It's
really.
a violation of people's basic human rights.
I guess, but
to be with whom you want to be, to do what you want to do. In this
but
country.
segregation is a systemic, like every part of your life is affected by Jim Crow. You know, like
you don't think it's the same when you're discriminated against for being gay?
No, because that's not what he's specifically saying. He's not discriminating against people for being gay. He's not saying like gay people need to be in separate places than straight people.
Yeah, but he's saying that straight people can have one thing that gay people can't. That's discrimination.
Yeah.
That's inequality.
I understand that, but it's
Yeah.
not I mean, that no offense
All I'm
shows a
saying-
pretty profound not understanding what segregation is. If
Well,
you think,
no,
like,
I understand that people, you know, when you wake up in the morning and you can't get married to the person that you love, that it's not the end of the world, right? You can still go
it's
about
terrible.
99%
It's terrible,
of your day.
yeah. But no one's saying like don't get on the back of the
But
bus.
that's what I'm saying when Greg talks about when is it going to be okay to be gay? When are we going to just move beyond this as a civilization?
Yeah.
Like I look forward to those days when this argument is ludicrous, where it's a no-brainer, right or wrong. Yes, maybe it violates its fundamental rights of freedom of speech or freedom of choice, but it's where we've tipped the scales finally to go, come on, dude, right? I still think we're years away from that, but I do look forward to that time. But again, having said all that, I fundamentally agree with what was his name?
Andrew Sullivan.
Yeah, on a very sincere level. Like, if that were happening to me for a decision that I made, it would be the worst thing, because it's going to tarnish his life forever, and that's not what this country is about. It shouldn't be. You know, it should be about that open dialogue. It should be about that freedom of choice. We tout freedom of choice when it's the right choice. Who makes that call, right? And which I think is what you're kind of fundamentally going toward.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying
The
that
bully
like,
makes the call right now.
I'm just saying that like I can't be held to that litmus test. I can't.
Yeah.
You know,
none of us can be held to that.
That's exactly.
Greg walks out his
that's
underwear
exactly.
constantly. It's
No,
offensive.
it's just like a political litmus test. It just seems wrong to me. Like like there's a difference between being against. So we're talking about the argument against segregation. We're talking about civil rights. Well, like the man who revolutionized the civil rights movement was Martin Luther King Jr., who preached love your brother, you know, who preached peace,
Right.
and acceptance, and changed their hearts and their minds. You know, he wasn't saying like segregationists go fuck off, don't do anything anymore. He was like, I love you, and I'm going to change your mind with my actions.
But he wasn't the only person fighting for that, though.
He was
fighting with violence.
Exactly. And who do we look fondly back on those people?
No, but those people were instrumental.
I don't agree with that at all, man. I think that the whole movement hinged on someone like Martin Luther King. You know, I don't agree with that at all.
Oh no, I think that again. I think 90. If you put it in percentages, sure, 95% was Martin Luther King in that movement, but there were a lot more people who let their rage speak instead of fear, or instead of and those people played a role in it, like it or not. You know, those people were people that brought it to attention in a bad way and may have said it back, but they still played a role.
But keep in mind, of course, there's a different landscape right now. Now, a hashtag, right, can whip thousands, hundreds of thousands of people into action immediately, and they're incredibly outraged in that moment, and they were all probably Chrome users anyway. And you know what I mean? Like, that's the different of where we are.
Yeah, like
right
how many
now.
people that heard that story are gonna be like, I'm gonna stop using Firefox? Only the people that don't get Cupid. I did not use Firefox today. I didn't even think about it when I went to work, and I heard the news story this morning on the way to work. You know, and that's what I'm saying. Like it's a travesty. It's literally like the worst. It's McCarthyism, right? It's calling someone a communist, and then their life is ruined. And that's the danger of sort of that majority opinion, right? Yeah. Is that it can get out of hand, and this is out of hand, right? It's ridiculous. I would not want it to happen to me, But if I were
But that's the
millionaire, I
point.
might
It could
just
happen
buy
to
my own
any of
island
us.
and
It
go
could
away.
happen to any of us,
Yeah.
regardless of what's in our hearts or regardless of like how we voted. Like that's what I'm trying to say. Like the purity test is not one that anyone can pass, and that's why I brought up the OkCupid guy.
Well, Tim's the
because
pure
he
one.
couldn't pass it. He didn't pass it, regardless of whether you think it's true, like whether it's real or not. He voted to in a deep Republican state to a deep Republican congressman who held deeply bigoted views.
I'll agree he didn't pass, but I think he still failed by a lesser margin than the other guy. Like he might have got like a 70, the other got like a 50. It's
a hard fail.
That's a hard fail. That's like one of those where he doesn't even bother putting the red mark on the paper.
See, that's one of
He
the things I
just
didn't like
rips it in
about
front of you.
the ABs and the C's and the D's is like, what? It's like a 65 is a
Why
F?
Why give the D or the F? What do I care? D
Well,
is
no.
failing, right?
Well, the D's or the everybody wants the D if you're in the chance of getting the F. The
But I
F is
feel
like
like in
you
my
fail.
school, the
But
D
I'm just
was
saying, why
failing.
wasn't the fail 0? I don't know.
Because they wanted kids to feel good about themselves.
All right.
Hey, you got a 50. Good for you. Half right.
Well, there you go. Another Game Over Greggy show in the books, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, every Friday we post the MP3 at GameOverGreggy.bandcamp.com. You can buy it for $1, and if you don't feel like doing that, you are welcome to go and wait over at GameOverGreggy.com for each one of the topics to be broken out as a pretty little YouTube video. Make sure you hit up districtlines.com/GameOverGreggy for all our t-shirts, which include now the Game Over Greggy shirt, Colin for President, Oreo Gasm, Sean Finnegan likes hiking, and Scarpino Boxing, Shadow Boxing Association. Kick what? No, that's all.
That's
of them, right?
correct.
It's a
Established
mouthful.
1996.
There's the part I'm screwing up. Keep in touch with us all on Twitter. They've been up throughout this video. If you're listening at home, of course, I'm Game Over Greggy. Colin is No Taxation. Nick Scarpino is Nick_Scarpino. Tim Gettys is Tim Gettys. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time.